yeah, it's the movie's really, I guess, faithful to most of the stuff. Like they did leave out some things that were more science driven, like when they focused on communicating, that was a bigger time investment that I kind of enjoyed. In the movie, it's a lot just like, well, here's a little brief understanding of what it takes to learn another language.
Yeah.
But then they don't really go into depth on it. But yeah, it was a really faithful adaptation, I would say.
Okay.
I do suggest reading it for other aspects of it that were interesting because they didn't really touch on, you know, the character Strat, how she doing what she's doing. You get the sense that she's like in charge of like all these different foreign governments to bring the best minds together to fix this issue, right? But like what she's doing is like going against a lot of international like laws that are like basically she can do whatever she wants, right? So she's borderline a criminal telling these agencies to like listen to me because this is what we need right now, but you know, eventually that's going to come back and bite her in the ass. And she's like, yeah, I'm in the book. She kind of goes into it talking about like, yeah, I'm pretty much a pariah now to like the world because of what I did. I'm going to be held a criminal, like a world criminal of what I'm doing. So that was kind of a interesting thing in the book that is not really a big major part, but kind of made her more badass.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
Ryland, his appreciation for her, you know, develops like, oh man, she's like actually doing a lot to help humanity right now, and I got to give her some credit here. So it's like a mutual kind of like understanding with each other because they do fight and bicker. That's kind of shown in the movie a little bit. But yeah, what'd you think of the movie as a whole? Like, did
I mean,
you
it was
learn a
great.
lot, or did you watch any trailers, or
No, nope.
okay?
Hadn't seen a single trailer.
Were you aware that it was an Amazon produced movie?
I wasn't until today, actually.
Okay.
I'm a little bit surprised to learn that, but at the same time, now that I'm saying that, I'm actually not surprised whatsoever because clearly Bezos has the money to throw at certain things, and if Amazon Productions is funding things like this, where it's like a big production, but it's pretty simple all in all, I
Right.
can see that model being successful with like this being an adaptation, but like good scripts and good work and people like that. But
Yeah,
yeah, that tracks kind of for like how long the movie is and certain aspects of it.
right. I was happy to know that they didn't rely a lot on CG and it was all practical in camera stuff with like certain things with Rocky at certain points were CG assisted, but they didn't really rely on it. That he was mostly
Sure.
puppeted by like a team of like 13 or something like that dudes. I forget the number, but it was quite a bit. And the puppeteer that was like the head puppeteer of Rocky was actually the voice of him too,
hmm
which I
I
thought was
did
kind
I
of
did
cool.
know that. It makes sense, and
Hmm.
I like that detail a lot for sure. I mean, I don't want to like give a lot of stuff away about it, but I really enjoyed that. Although there is stuff in the movie that could definitely be very like dour or like bring you down, it leaves so much room for an exploration of like being in the moment and doing what you can to like enjoy and still be yourself and still kind of like connect with it's there's so much positivity still in this circumstance of like kind of bad stuff.
Yeah, the dire thing right off the bat, like he wakes up on the ship, and it's structured the same way. It's maybe a little bit more understanding in the book because like the ship Mary is like telling him like all these questions, like or asking him like, "What is your name?" And like
Mhm.
the first chapter, he's like, "I don't know," and he's like trying to figure that out. And then it does like a little flashback to a part on Earth where he like is at his elementary school or his middle school, and he's teaching a class, and they're calling him Mr. Grace. He's like, "Oh, my name's Ryan Grace." So that then jumps ahead to when he's on the ship, and then throughout each parts of the book, he's remembering something that relates to what he's going through on the ship. So he's flashing back to like, why am I here? Oh, I'm here because the sun is dying. I now understand why I'm on a ship. And now it's like piece by piece, he's remembering stuff. And that's just like the first, I don't know, 10 minutes of him when we see him in the movie. He's like, am I smart? Like,
Yeah.
that's a
Well,
microscope or something like that.
that's a fun way to like his writing stuff down on a whiteboard or being able to piece together like, okay, well, here's my questions, and then here's what I can tell about my circumstances or about myself enough to get these answers out of it. Like that's a really smart way to communicate to the audience memory loss and also just like in montage and things and
But the
they
both
yeah.
both movie and book sort of gave you the sense that throughout, him learning that why he's there and then meeting up with Rocky, you get the sense that he chose to be there, right? You're like he wanted to go help Earth. Like as a reader, you're like, "Oh, I'm glad he, got
Mhm.
on the ship and he's there now because he's actually doing something worthwhile and he's helping humanity." But it's not till like the very end when you realize like, oh, he even calls himself like, I'm a coward. Like I don't want to go. And they
Yeah.
like forced him into a coma and sent him. And just like the fact that the whole time he's really optimistic and he's like learning another alien language and you're like, this guy's really cool. But then like it diminishes all of that even after knowing that, oh my gosh, he's a coward. He didn't want to go. He was forced to by Strat.
Okay,
But
so
knowing
I have
everything up until that point, watching the movie, like he is jumping off into like a stellar nebula, fishing for like this bacteria that's gonna kill this other bacteria, like doing
mhm.
all those stunts and things like that. You're like, this guy is not like a coward. He's the bravest guy I've ever seen.
Well,
Just jump
I think
across
you and I
and
have a different
oh
interpretation of that then if you're saying that you feel it makes him or it puts certain things into doubt, you know? I think that galvanizes him as I saw that as being like, oh, he wakes up and with no motivation whatsoever to be like, I want to be here, I don't want to be here. I literally don't know why I'm here. I'm just going to be myself
mm-hmm.
in this scenario. Like he kind of gave up in a way, but in like the most positive way that you can of just being like, well, it's out of my control. I'm just gonna be myself. And he just happened to realize, like, okay, I can do these scientific tests and I'm able to do these things, and I have this knowledge that I can uncover. But then when it came to meeting somebody new, he's like, here's how I'm gonna go about doing that, and kind of just my general outlook on that whole scenario and how I handle it. And,
Yeah, a big thing for him realizing his like when Rocky kind of talked to him like, so Ryland go home, or once we do this, save stars, Ryland go home, and then he kind of like brushes off the fact that he's not going home up until
yeah,
that point where Rocky's like, wait, why you say you go home? Or it's like he's like wanting to know like I'm content with being up here and dying, and then Rocky's like, well, I give you some, right? Up until that point, Ryland's like he knows he's on a suicide mission. He's not going back to Earth, and then Rocky's like, "Oh, I'll give you some. I won't get home for another 6 years, but like, I live for like generations. Like I live a long ass time. It doesn't bother me none." But to Ryland, that's just like you gave me a life back, but then circumstances and things like that happen where it's like, would I rather go home or save Rocky and his planet? And I'm thrilled that he chose that because there was really nothing for him on Earth. Like
yeah.
I don't think he wanted to go back. He didn't have family. The only thing would be
Well, it would
like,
have been terrible.
and the conditions are really bad. Whereas like he can go basically live on another
Like,
planet, and they can put like a biodome for him with all the temperature things that he likes. And
that is just like, why would you ever? He's got students that want to engage with him,
yeah,
and like even if they already know, because he's like, who knows? What did he say at the end? The speed of light.
yeah, speed of light, because they don't
And
understand faster than
all
light travel, and they didn't understand radiation because that's on a different like frequency from their echolocation. They don't understand that, so it's
but
crucial for him to
he's
learn that.
to teach them about that. So they all raise their hands because they know about the speed of light, but they just maybe don't know how to apply that or anything.
Yeah,
But he's got people that want to engage with his teaching, whether they're
Yeah.
learning or not. They just want to engage with being like in that relationship with him, like Rocky did.
Yeah,
And
and
so,
that's a big part of the movie is education. And like, I mean, that's a big thing is like you're educating the next generation and they're learning about the stars and how astrophage is killing the stars. But then throughout the book, when he's learning a new language. Like that's kind of like the whole point of the book is like communication and learning, right? Is how do I interact with this alien to solve a major problem? And that was like a big tug of war. It's like he's also learning an alien language while both of them are solving this really big issue, which is an
mhm.
awesome part of the book. A funny thing in the book too, when he makes it back to Arid, was that they did something funny with his like DNA or something like that. They took because they had like that laptop that has all of Earth's information, right? Because he gifts it to Rocky, so they look on like a Wikipedia page of like understanding what cows are and like the breakdown and the genetic makeup, and they kind of borrowed some like DNA from him and reconstituted it into like a burger. So in the book he calls them me burgers, and they like basically make him like a burger made out of his own DNA and stuff like that. I just thought it was just a funny science thing that just, because you want to wonder like how is he surviving? And he's like, oh, I'm just eating me burgers. It's like it tastes like a burger, but it's got all the nutrients I need to survive.
That does seem like very like,
An
well,
an
we can
arid solution, yeah.
we'll feed you. What do you want it to taste like?
Yeah.
I don't know, a burger? Okay. And then they give it to you, and it's like, well, what is this made out of? Oh, eat.
It's
And you're like,
eat.
yeah, you have to understand what they're but and gosh, yeah, there's just so much to enjoy about this movie with the performance of Rocky and even Ryan Gosling too. Like it's a very small cast, and it's a very, again, it's like a very small movie when you know everything's considered, but
Yeah.
it is like, I read something today that said that the first cut that they were showing around was like over 4 hours long,
Whoa.
and people were just saying like, you gotta cut a lot out of this and get it like way tighter. And it's kind of good that it is like, it's nice that this is just like, you could go, you can enjoy your afternoon, see a fun movie, and walk out of there and be like, okay, eh, nothing has to be set up for later to like, well, I feel like I need to invest my time or attention to wait for later to get any emotional payoff. You've got your emotional payoff, and it's wonderful. And
Yeah.
the whole ride through, there's tension, but there's also like relief. I don't know. I thought it was nicely done, and for a March kind of release earlier in the year, that's pretty good.
Yep. It's doing great. Like people are loving it. It's Phil Lord. Is that their Lord and Miller, the directors?
I,
Like their track record is great, and it just makes me sad that they didn't get their chance to do their version of the Solo movie, because I think like coulda, shoulda, woulda. Like it's a shame that whoever was in charge of that decision, because they did space so well. Like their understanding of space and like what they could do practically with Star Wars, or it makes me just wish I could maybe see something of theirs, or like a just a script maybe of what they thought.
yeah, I did enjoy, because it's there's like a few different ways that people seem to be able to like wrap their head around moving the camera and moving the actors in space, and then the two things in relation to each other as well. Um, and I found it kind of refreshing, some of the things that were done in this movie, but also the like bravery, not bravery, but the willingness to go to that area too was
Hmm.
nice. I am not a fan of space movies where it's like so many things are explained away as to be like, well, that's why we're just walking in normal gravity, and it's like like nothing against the Abrams Star Trek movies necessarily, but like just talking about everybody's just walking in hallways together, and it looks basically, for all intents and purposes, like any other place. I
Yeah.
like that non-geometric shapes to what Rocky is building with his tubes. I like that Ryan Gosling can like turn the centrifuge on and off in his ship to affect what is actually happening gravity wise on his ship, and it's not just like, oh, don't worry about it. It's
Yeah,
just it's nice to have to kind of worry about it a little bit, and because it like provides those obstacles and solutions in the movie that
yep.
help with that
And that
emotional journey.
you're right
So
about that because in the book he couldn't do labs like once he like was doing a lot of testing on like, all right, what kills astrophage. You can't do those tests in zero gravity. So they have to figure out. That was a part of the book and the movie a little bit where like it was like that brief conversation with that doctor and he's like, oh, centrifuge, and they kind of like have
yeah,
a little acknowledgement. But like he had to like it was always a critical thing, like I can't do this, I can't like focus on this now because it takes a certain amount of time in the book for the centrifuge to get going and gravity to come back to 1G. So it's like
yeah.
it takes a long time in the relation of him trying to get the process going, and time is of the essence. So
I'm I'm the kind of person where if you're doing it in a way that is like enjoyable, I can be there for an entire movie of him and Carl and the whole team on the ground researching what the astrophage is and getting ready and being in those boardrooms and then being in the laboratory and etc. I can watch an entire movie of that. And same thing for
same.
like uh, um, Close Encounters of the Third Kind when you're following like the government and they're in the little rooms like figuring out like, well, what does this mean and what does that mean and etc.
Yep.
I'm there for it. I love when you're like delivering information that is interesting and makes me want to keep going with the movie to find out more.
Yeah.
Um, and they just did they I think they did that really well with like it kind of felt like The Martian in a few ways too, where
Yep.
these two guys are like just putting their heads together and being like, hey, I am not sure exactly what's going to work, but even if I don't know what the solution is, I know like through physics that this is how this works. So why don't we give that a shot? Because we can at least expect what the outcome of this will be, even if we don't know like if that will get us to our goal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I think there's a lot
It
that
felt kind
they
of
touch
Star
on
Trek
that in the
too.
book a little bit too. I did like those parts because how it's structured in the book is like I said, flashbacks and jump aheads to a point where it makes sense to the flashback. But like at a certain point, you're like maybe the first half of the book, you're like, oh, I want to read more of him on the ship because it's interesting. It's more interesting on the ship. But as the book plays out, you're like, oh, I want to know what's happening on Earth because I'm more invested now in the story on Earth. And that
Yeah.
was a little similar to that, at some points in the movie. I was like, oh yeah, I want to, because I mean the part with Rocky saving, after they went into that kind of tailspin, you know, gravity rotation where they were just pushed against the walls. They couldn't really do anything other than Rocky busting out of his bubble and flipping the switches to release the engines to stop the rotation. That was like a big part. And then they jump back to the Earth stuff, and you're like, oh my gosh, I
Oh
want to
my
know what's
gosh.
going on. And so like
Yeah.
it made me so like despaired. Like I was just like, oh my gosh, I wish I knew what happened to Rocky. And then there was a lot of chapters where it was Rylan kind of just doing his vlogging while Rocky was like comatose or whatever he was doing,
Yeah.
Uh,
That. Yeah. I again, there's so much about like that dynamic of like, oh, scientific cataloging and I wish we got to see a little bit more of like he's saying like him being comatose and their extended periods of cohabitating. But
yeah, they didn't really say it or mention it really in the movie, but Rocky did have like a little festive outfit that he did once they like saved the day and they found the bacteria that kills astrophage. Like Rocky came out with like this attire that was funky looking, like he had tassels or something like that on him, and he just looked like he was going to Carnival or Mardi Gras or something. They described it in the book a little funny, and I was trying to picture it. I'm glad they added it in the movie to see maybe the art or the author was thinking. I was like, oh, okay, that's what it was. I thought he was wearing like this crazy headdress or something like that. It was just like little frills. But yeah, there's a lot to love about the visual aspect of this, because this story needed to be told visually, because how I pictured it in my mind when I was listening to it and reading it, I was like, is it just a black goo? And I was like, oh yeah, it is just black goo. And how
Yeah.
they were describing it under the microscope is like, okay, yeah, there's little bits bopping around. And then how they like went infrared. I was like, yeah, I'm imagining it being like a little red dot, and it pretty much was like a little pink dot. And I was like, okay. The translation was pretty good in how I understood it from the page to the screen. I was like, okay, yeah, that's pretty accurate. That's what I was thinking. And another thing about it is like a lot of media with aliens and humans is very much like a antagonistic, right? And a lot of like our history of like when it's always two guys or two essentially males, right? Because we don't even know Rocky's doesn't even have a gender, but he
Yeah.
has like a male voice. But like having two male characters always being combative, right? They're in a lot of like history with like Romulus and Remus, like old stories of people like these characters just fighting and at odds with each other. It's
Hmm.
pretty rare to have a story where it's like an alien and a human are not combative. They're coming together, trying to understand each other to, help their worlds. And that's been the trope in movies and TV for a long time with, aliens. And I mean, other than like E.T., where it's like it wasn't really telling a story about, I don't know, it was just a translation of like a kid meeting an alien and then helping the alien leave Earth. It's a simple story, but there's more often like Predator, Alien, Prometheus. Like there's all these like weird
Yeah.
antagonistic relationships with foreign like alien entities and things like that. So it's
Fear of the unknown and all, yeah. I mean, it's rife for horror for sure. And so it to take the more whimsical like approach was I think a really nice one. Like
which I think
the
is
character that Rocky is of being so enthusiastic
yeah,
is really effective.
yeah. When like amaze, when he
Yeah.
like
What are we doing? And when he moves in, you're like, oh my god,
here we go.
is gonna be fun.
Like this room boring, because at that point when he's like meandering around the ship, the Hail Mary, he goes into that like don't go crazy room where it like projects
Yeah, yeah.
like Earth things. All Rocky sees is like just a flat room because he can't pick up on like images or anything like that.
Yeah. He just, oh, this room boring.
This room boring, messy, messy, messy. And how
Wasn't
how
expecting
it's done like that in the book too. It's like in little sing-song notes. I think that's like it's similar to how he talks initially, where it's like, and it kind of has that tonation in the audiobook too, where it's like it has like a little whirring kind of noise before like I think he says like, oh, that must mean yes or no or something like that. It's always just like a little bunch of beeps and boops when you're listening to it on audiobook. But
Hmm.
then when he goes into like putting words to the noises, it's just the author going, or it's the voice actor having a pitch shift a little bit to sound more robotic kind of, and he's like amaze,
Huh.
amaze, amaze, and he always has to say like question. I don't know if you caught that, like everything after
Yeah,
everything he said he had to
that
end
was
it with
super.
question.
And then statement too. Like I really enjoyed that about like, well, yeah, that makes sense about like if an alien learned how to communicate in English or like no, if we learned how to translate that, I
Right.
could see how him understanding that we're translating it that way, then you'd have to. Like it's weird how he comes up with his own like phraseology and syntax and this stuff, and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
that makes why he's communicating like that. That's what he understands communication to be. Like that's why he just says amaze because that just gets across what he needs it to, and he doesn't need to say anything else. Otherwise, he would say something else. He's like, no, 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 this best word. I say
this
this.
this best word, and also on the flip side when he's like talking about something that tragically happened to him, he goes bad, 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 like so many times, because that many times is that many bads. To him, it's like it's the worst of the worst. So it has to be bad, 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 bad. And he has
Well,
to
it's like that
focus on.
degrees. Like that's he's got no word for like we have words. We have many different words to just mean afraid. Like we've got a fear, terror, uh, fright. We've got uh, horror. We've got so many different things that talk
Scary,
about our
yeah.
emotions, our feelings. But he's just got like this base understanding of, oh well, the translator and how I'm able to communicate, it says this, so I'll say it a lot of times because that maybe means like this is how.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is how important this is right now. So I have to say amaze, 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 amaze. And I think
yeah.
it's I do maybe want you to listen to some aspect of the book because I think it comes off really charming when he does that, and it's a little bit cuter when he,
I'd be willing to check it out for sure. Now, I mean, I kind of wasn't just like not even aware of it before
oh sure.
hearing about the movie somewhat. So
Have you
I
watched The
know
Martian
more.
then too, right?
Yeah, it's I haven't watched it really since it came out. I don't think, but
Okay.
yeah,
And
I
that
remember
that
seeing that.
also had the mood of like optimism, right? A little bit like he's stranded on Mars and he's making the best of his situation by like
Yeah,
doing his vlogs, and there's a hopeful aspect to the Earth coming together to send.
wasn't that written by Andy Weir, who
Yeah,
also wrote
yeah,
Project Hail Mary?
yep. And that's kind of what
Okay,
I like
so
because it's hard.
it's like scientific optimism, like
Yeah,
that. It's being like, hey, circumstances may be bad, but we can figure stuff out, or like we can move towards that goal or go down that road with that in mind of like, yeah, let's do our best. Let's put in hard work and good things will happen. It's
yep.
that kind of
It focuses a lot on the actual hard science, like the it's a hard sci-fi kind of story where he has to do accurate science and math to figure out the problems. And in both stories it's that. It's a stranded person having to do science on their own to solve problems. And it's all other than the fact that there's, these artificial chemicals and microbes, they're killing the sun, figuring out what they are. It's life, it's carbon based, it's almost all made out of water. It's like, everything that
carbon based.
it's all, made up of elements that aren't like, if anything else, like if you watch Prometheus, like, oh, what's that black goo made out of? Probably something that's not on the periodic table, right? Because it's something
Yeah.
so weird. But when you look at the black goo in this, it's like when he's doing the test, he's like, oh, yep, we have carbon, we have hydrogen. Yep, it's pretty much all water. And he,
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Just then he's yeah.
so
That
it's
itself.
it's not something out of the realm of possibility when you look at it like that. It's not just like, oh, is this a foreign element that we don't know of? Like, nope, it is normal.
Well, it's foreign that we don't know of until we take the time
Yeah,
to know about it. You know.
right. And they could have went down that tropey path of like, oh no, it's a new element. Kind of like how it was interesting when they talked about xenonite. That was also a big deal in the book where, yeah, Rocky can
Sure.
just make whatever, and he didn't know the human color spectrum, but he understood that Rylan can only see through one type of xenonite that he creates for his barriers. So he's like, oh, I'll make this one this
Well,
version
that's
so
it.
it can be see through so he can see me.
Yeah. Okay. That's an interesting take on it. Yeah. Because to somebody who is echolocation, the understanding of seeing in part of the light spectrum or not would
Hmm.
be a complete like you'd have to have that conversation and be like, hey buddy,
Yeah, I can't really see
I'll
you.
take you in your building. Can't see you in there. I hear you. Yeah, man. It was a lot of fun and I can see. I hope this doesn't just become like a pop culture moment that I don't think it needs to be like a huge like it'll save theaters or it's like a watershed moment for movies. I just want it to be like something that is more than just people make memes about this rock dude for a couple months.
Well,
Like go
it
see
shows.
the movie, enjoy seeing a good movie, maybe. You know?
That's exactly it. That's what people want to see. They don't want to see rehashes of already tread IP. They don't care. They want to see something new. They want to see a spectacle. They like it does put butts in the seats because you want to see this on the big screen because it has like a huge spectacle of like space and exploration, and like that's what people go to the theaters for, because like, oh man, yeah, that whole sequence of him doing the fishing scene, if you don't see that on the biggest screen you can, like you're doing yourself a disservice, because that's like the most spectacle you can get. It's like has so much action and tense. Like the theater we were watching it in was silent, even during the parts of the movie where the sound goes out. It was dead silent in my theater. Like nobody was saying or breathing or like doing anything. And watching that sequence of him, you know, trying to get the winch and the samples from that planet back onto the Hail Mary, it was so tense, you could feel it in the theater. And like,
Yeah.
like that was completely worth the ticket. And I think people want more movies like that, not just like, oh, I can't wait to see this retread
Oh,
thing for the
yeah.
thousandth time.
I'm gonna go see the next movie in this series of whatever it is. I'm not just talking about like Marvel or Star Wars or anything. There's Fast and Furious. There's all kinds of things, or like you said, like retreads, remakes, whatever. Like going out and seeing something that is um, original enough to be, you know, an original adaptation that can stand on its own and not need a sequel or even a prequel to go into like, oh, where did this person come from, or where did that? It just
Yeah.
it can be a good thing that exists on its own, and now let's have this be successful enough where Ryan Gosling has enough freaking leeway to say, all right, we're making Nice Guys 2.
There you go. That's what we need
I'm
right
going
now.
to I'm going to use my my momentum from this and say I would like my next project to be Nice Guys 2, please.
Hey, but you know the sad thing is we're gonna get retread Star Wars with Ryan Gosling next. So he's
Well, apparently it's a brand new movie, Tyler.
that's true, but it's the same IP deal. Like I hope it's great. I want it to do well because it's a new story. It doesn't. I mean, I hope he's just not a secret Jedi, because
Yeah.
I'm kind of sick of secret Jedis. I just want it to be
I
a
don't
normal
know.
dude, like Andor, just a normal guy trying to figure shit out in this crazy world.
It will be a movie, and if I choose to see it, then I will choose to see it. But other than that, I don't really hold any thoughts or anything, you know, like just
No,
that's all right.
I'm totally with you. Shane Black making Nice Guys 2 or doing something in that world again, because that was such a breath of fresh air. It was so good. It was like a buddy hangout movie with detective
Mhm.
elements, similar
It was
to
funny. I mean,
Big
both those and
Lebowski.
both like, Lucro and Ryan Gosling, both very funny. Like
Oh yeah, they were
good good
awesome together.
action and good comedy. I liked that balance.
Great comedy when Ryan Gosling tries to break into that house and cuts his arm. He's like,
Mhm.
"I'm ready," and he just breaks through the glass and just cuts himself, like his wrist or his forearm on the shard of glass, and he's like, "Oh crap!" He's got
And
like
it's a bad cut. It's like
it's a really bad cut, and he has a cast throughout the rest of the movie. Just
yeah, no.
thanks for
That's
reminding me that exists. I'm gonna watch it for the fifth time because
oh man, it's a good one for
it's such
sure.
a good one.
Uh, One of my favorite parts is like at the end where they're having the confrontation at the hotel, and it's like Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling are being held up by this chick, and their Ryan Gosling's daughter comes in with the cart.
Mm-hmm.
She tries to throw coffee on the chick.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, "Why did you throw cold coffee on me?" Like, I don't know. I thought it was gonna be hot. And Ryan Gosling is like on the floor. He's like, I like where your head's at, darling. You're doing good stuff there. Like,
Yeah, just doing those quips, and he's always trying to like correct her grammar. Don't say and
yeah.
stuff. Just don't say and
I
stuff.
don't think just say prostitutes. Don't
Yeah,
say prostitutes and stuff. Just say prostitutes.
yeah. It's so great. I'm a big fan of those types of movies because it was a similar thing with Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. You know, like it's just these two guys bickering at each other throughout the movie and doing detective shit
Yeah.
with a girl, accompanied by a girl a few times. But the part I liked in The Nice Guys was when they were questioning that kid, and he's like, "It's because I got a big cock."
They got a big dick.
Yeah.
Is want to see my big dick?
It's just like a kid on a little, like a lowrider bike, or he's just like, it's because I got a big dick. It's just so
No.
nonchalant.
Why would we want to see it?
Why would we want to see it? Get out of here.
All right.
It's called like, Hey There, Big Boy, or something like that. Hey There, Big Boy? What? Or Do You Like My Car, Big Boy?
Yeah, that's it. How do you like my car, big boy? Because that's what she says at the beginning too.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Good times. Good times were had at the movie theaters. I hope to go back to a movie because I saw it on Ultra Screen, and I could tell I was noticing when in Project Hail Mary on Earth, the aspect ratio just shrunk a little bit, but then when we were in space during stuff, it was the full frame of the screen. I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm glad they did something like that.
yeah,
Because the depth of field is different, shot maybe on different stuff, but it was a good aesthetic choice.
all around good times, dude.
Good times, dude. Just fun times. And Rocky just going down as one of the best aliens ever put to screen. he's up there with some big hitters, but he's up there. He's great.
I mean, again, knowing that, like, you can really kind of feel in some of that performance and in some of his presence that it is a physical thing that Ryan Gosling is acting against, and that it's just it really is one of the better aliens that we've had for a long time. Like, imagine like a movie with our boy Rocky and Cars, and who else? Who else would be in there?
As far as
Cars isn't an alien, I know, but like still an entertaining
like
non-human or in a. You want E.T. in there? You want like an almost non-verbal mofo in there with two verbose guys?
Maybe. I mean, it all depends. Mac or Mac and me. All he does is whistle.
Easy pulls here, man. Mac from Mac and me. Come on now. Yeah, again, if we need somebody to be in a bear costume and cause a dance riot at McDonald's, sure, we're calling Mac.
Call Mac.
But if we need somebody to save the freaking universe, we're calling Rocky.
Call Rocky.
Well,
yeah. Well, he's an engineer. I'm trying to think who else. What other alien was just like depicted as like a smart, capable, interstellar traveler? Because E.T. was just a kid, but he knew how to like communicate with.
He just a child? Was he?
I mean, I think he was supposed to be because he had family that left him, and it makes sense in the story that he was.
He'd just be an adult and be left. Maybe he was just unpopular.
Maybe.
Was it like maybe he was a shitty person?
Yeah, they're like, we hate this fucker. Let's leave him.
We gotta leave him.
We gotta. This guy's so fucked up. He just keeps grabbing plants to every planet we go to. He just grabs flowers.
His voice is so grating when he goes, ouch. When he does anything that he doesn't like.
When he runs across the ship, his arms are above his head and he's going, meh.
Making this really like distressing noise and bums us all out.
Yeah, it's.
Asked him so many times to just like use an inside voice and to tell us what it's wrong, but
use your words. But he's just like, meh.
We're an interstellar traveling like species. We can get this communication thing down, I think.
Oh no.
Maybe they are a like non-verbal race that just communicates by touching fingers together.
Maybe.
And glowing. Maybe they just like
Maybe their hearts just beat in like a Morse code, and they're like, "Oh, okay, cool."
Yeah,
little heart light things.
They're weird aliens. I will give you that. They're weird aliens. Like their hearts glow, their fingers glow. They have like healing powers and telekinesis and stuff.
They got telekinesis. Yeah. That's bizarre right there too. Like, okay, aliens now can control matter with their mind. Cool.
Yeah, honey, don't say telekinesis and stuff. Just say telekinesis.